Money won't matter in 2036.
Last week, while losing an average of $16.3 billion a day, Elon Musk sat down with The Economist and made a prediction. Money, he told editor in chief Zanny Minton Beddoes, won't matter by 2036. 4 days later, he launched a bank. This is the story of the richest man alive announcing the end of currency in one breath and shipping a Visa debit card in the next. What did he actually mean? You are watching the Tech Tales? Take a second, hit subscribe, and let's get into it. Sitting inside Tesla's Texas Gigafactory, Musk laid out the logic plainly. AI and robotics, he argued, will soon produce more goods and services than anyone could possibly consume. Once scarcity disappears, what exactly are you supposed to do with a dollar? Money won't matter in 2036, he said. Simple, almost peaceful, the kind of sentence you say once you've stopped worrying about a bank statement. Except Musk has a very complicated relationship with bank statements right now, because his own net worth just did something that would give most CFOs a stress fracture. But before this makes sense, you need to understand what that number actually is. Net worth isn't cash sitting in a vault somewhere with his face on it. Its stock price multiplied by shares held, revalued every single time the market opens, which means it can conjure $1 trillion out of thin air, and it can erase half of one just as fast. That's basically what happened. In the middle of June, SpaceX went public at $135 a share, priced at a valuation near $1.77 trillion. Musk's paper wealth briefly touched 1.45 trillion, making him, for a few glorious headlines, the first trillionaire in human history. It peaked here, right after SpaceX went public at that number. Then it did this. Over the following month, that fortune fell by roughly $488 billion, an average of $16.3 billion a day, gone, not stolen, not spent, just repriced, evaporating off a single balance sheet in 30 days. What kind of financial forecast do you make during a month like that? Apparently, this one. His logic goes like this: AI exceeds the sum of human intelligence in roughly 5 years. Robots produce more than anyone could consume. Scarcity ends, and with it, the entire reason money exists in the first place. He's floated a universal, you can have whatever you want income. He's predicted deflation instead of inflation. On Peter Diamandis' podcast, months earlier, he told listeners not to bother saving for retirement because AI driven abundance would make the whole concept obsolete. It sounds generous right up until you check the fine print. The Federal Reserve currently puts the number of American adults with even 3 months of savings at 55%. For most people watching this, that advice isn't liberating. It's just advice they can't afford to test. And this wasn't the first time he said it. He posted almost the identical line back in December: civilization ends or scarcity ends. Either way, money won't matter. So this isn't a slip of the tongue during a rough month. It's a thesis he keeps returning to on a timeline that conveniently never arrives by next quarter's earnings call. So here's what he actually shipped that same week. 4 days after telling the world money won't matter, Musk didn't sit around waiting for the abundance to arrive. He shipped X Money, a real functioning bank product. You'll see this rolled out to every premium subscriber in the US, complete with a Visa debit card, direct deposit, FDIC insurance through a partner bank up to $250,000, and up to 6% yield sitting right there in your wallet. There's even a metal card option with your X handle stamped on it, in case your bank card also needed to double as a personality. He posted 2 words about it: "This is money," which notably is a very different sentence than "money won't matter." The pitch is that this becomes your one app for everything, the way WeChat is China's app for everything. Message people, post your thoughts, then pay your rent, all without leaving the same blue check timeline. It's a real product, competing with real companies like Venmo and Cash App for a real slice of a payments market that, by his own timeline, has 10 years left to matter. Here's the part almost nobody connected. This isn't Musk's first bank. Back in 1999, he founded a company called X.com, an online financial services startup that let people send each other money. It got merged into a rival, rebranded, and eventually became PayPal, and Musk got pushed out of his own company somewhere in the middle of that. When he bought Twitter in 2022, one of the very first moves was renaming it X and buying back the X.com domain. X Money isn't a new idea he stumbled into this month. It's the sequel to an ambition he's been chasing for over a quarter century, just wrapped in a nicer app icon and better timing on the press cycle. This isn't the only prediction on a clock that keeps resetting. Since 2014, Musk has said Tesla would achieve full self driving next year. Every year. Hold on. We can draw similarities here. Apple does the same every year. Tim Cook says this is the best iPhone ever. These two are trillion-dollar companies. That's the catch right there. They seem to sell more hope and a promise at a premium than the product itself. Elon Musk promised a fully autonomous cross-country drive by the end of 2017. Didn't happen. He promised a million robotaxis on the road by 2020. Also didn't happen. The Tesla Semi was unveiled with a promised production date of 2019, then slipped to 2020, then 2021, then 2022, and its self driving convoy feature is still somewhere out past the horizon. He promised humans on Mars by 2024, then quietly moved the date. In 2023, he described himself in his own words as the boy who cried FSD, which is either remarkably self aware or a confession, depending on your mood that day. Even he seems to know the pattern by now. He just keeps making the same bet anyway. Here's what the prediction is actually doing for him. None of this necessarily makes the forecast dishonest, it makes them a job. Tesla's stock price leans heavily on Optimus and full self driving eventually shipping for real. SpaceX's trillion-dollar valuation leans on Mars eventually happening. And an economy ending abundance story leans on absolutely nothing being checkable for another decade. Notice the date he picked. Not next quarter, where you could grade his homework by Thursday. Not even next year, his usual unit of measurement for self driving cars. 2036, comfortably past the point where most headlines and most of his current net worth will already be forgotten, which is the detail that actually matters here. Musk didn't predict the death of money. He produced a headline on a timeline nobody can fact check. In the exact week he needed a story large enough to bury the worst 30 days of his financial life. And then, almost as an afterthought, built the one product that only makes sense if money still very much matters. The surface story was never really about the end of currency. It was a live demonstration of how a prediction made far enough into the future stops being a forecast and starts working as a financial instrument in its own right, one currently propping up a stock price priced in dollars that apparently won't matter to anyone by the time the bill comes due. What is the most Elon statement to say? Share your thoughts in the comments section, subscribe, and see you in the next one.